Most people think they're doing fine financially until it hits them. Suddenly they can't pay for an emergency. Their credit cards are maxed out. And they wonder, how did this happen? The truth? The warning signs were always there. But no one talks about them. Not your bank. Not your accountant. And definitely not your friends, because they're probably ignoring them too. At the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to spot the quiet financial traps that silently destroy wealth. And more importantly, how to reverse them before they cause real damage. Because financial disaster doesn't arrive with flashing lights. It creeps in slowly, disguised as normal life. You keep your job, you pay the bills, maybe even stash away a little savings. But you're standing on a shaky foundation without realizing it. These red flags don't scream for attention. They whisper. They blend into your habits. They hide behind good intentions. And the scariest part? They feel responsible. They feel safe. They're quietly setting you up to fail. That's why this video matters, because once you recognize these patterns, everything changes. You'll stop trying to budget your way out of broken systems. You'll start noticing the decisions that keep you stuck. And you'll finally understand why most people never build real wealth. We're not just talking about avoiding debt or cutting back on lattes. This is deeper. It's about mindset, behavior, and knowing what not to tolerate in your financial life. Let's break down the hidden traps that keep people broke. Even those who earn well save often and follow all the so-called rules. And we'll begin with a red flag that I see all the time, especially among people who look successful from the outside. They're making good money. Their income looks solid on paper, but they're still living paycheck to paycheck. That's the first red flag. Lifestyle inflation disguised as success. They upgrade their apartment, buy the car they always dreamed of, book expensive vacations, eat at better restaurants, shop at higher-end stores. And here's the trap. None of it feels excessive because they can technically afford it. But what they can't afford is freedom. Because the moment their income stops, everything collapses. There's no buffer, no flexibility, no plan. Just a cycle of earning and spending that feels productive, but leaves them with nothing to show for it. This is the kind of financial danger that hides in plain sight. Because no one questions someone with a nice car and a six-figure job. But if your lifestyle expands every time your income does, you're not building wealth. You're just upgrading your cage. Wealth is not about what you make. It's about what you keep, what you grow, and how long you can go without working if you had to. The second red flag is even more dangerous because it's not just about money. It's about how you think about money. And it shows up in conversations like this. I'll start saving when I earn more. I'll invest once I understand the market better. I'm just not good with money. This is financial procrastination disguised as logic. It feels rational. But it's actually fear in disguise. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of taking responsibility. Fear of facing the truth. And while you wait for the perfect time, inflation eats away at your savings. Opportunities pass you by. And the compounding you could have started slips further and further out of reach. This mindset keeps people stuck for years. They read the books, watch the videos, follow finance accounts. But they never actually do anything with the information. And when they finally feel ready, they've already lost the most valuable thing they had. Time. Because in finance, time beats talent. It beats strategy. It even beats income. If you start early, even with small amounts, you build momentum that's almost impossible to catch up with later. So when you say, I'll do it someday, what you're really saying is, I'm okay with starting behind. And here's where it gets worse. The longer you wait, the harder it gets to start. The stakes feel higher, the fear grows stronger. And you convince yourself that now you really need to be sure. Which is why the third red flag is one most people never even notice. Which brings us to the third red flag. Confusing busyness with progress. Most people think they're managing their finances because they're doing something. They check their bank account, they pay their bills, maybe they even have a budgeting app. But here's the truth, activity is not the same as strategy. You can spend years managing your money and still go nowhere. Why? Because you're reacting, not planning. You're stuck in maintenance mode, never shifting into wealth building mode. And this kind of stagnation is dangerous because it gives you the illusion of control. You feel productive. You feel responsible. But underneath it all, you're not moving forward. Let me put it another way. You wouldn't call someone fit just because they walk around all day. Fitness requires intention, resistance, progression. Money works the same way. If you're just keeping up, just breaking even, you're standing still in a world that's constantly moving. Inflation eats away at your savings. Missed investment opportunities widen the gap. And without realizing it, you fall behind. This red flag shows up in tiny ways. You avoid looking at your net worth. You don't know how much you actually spend each month. You save, but without a goal. It feels like you're being responsible. But in reality, you're just treading water. And here's what no one tells you. Wealth doesn't come from working harder. It comes from building systems that work while you sleep. Systems that automate your progress. That turn intention into action without requiring willpower every day. From investing consistently, even when it feels boring. From paying yourself first, no matter what. From aligning your financial habits with your life vision, not just your income level. But most people never get there because they're too busy solving short-term problems to build long-term strategy. And the system loves that. Because when you're too tired to think long-term, you stay stuck. You buy distractions, you take on more debt, you hope next year will be different. But hope is not a strategy. That's why this third red flag is so dangerous. Feels like effort, but it's actually avoidance. So here's the challenge. Stop confusing motion with momentum. Start asking better questions. Not, can I afford this, but does this move me closer to freedom? Not, how much do I make, but how long could I live if I stopped working today? Not, what's the best credit card, but how do I design a life that doesn't rely on debt? Because spotting red flags isn't just about avoiding danger. It's about choosing direction. Every time you ignore one, you're choosing drift. But every time you recognize one and act, you shift the entire trajectory of your life. So let's recap. We covered 3 of the most overlooked financial red flags. Living like you're rich while being financially fragile. Waiting for the perfect moment to take action. And mistaking financial activity for actual progress. Now it's your move. If even one of these hit close to home, don't brush it off. Pause. Reflect. Take one small action today to course correct. Because money is never just about numbers. It's about clarity, direction, freedom. And the sooner you take control, the sooner you stop drifting and start building. If this helped you see things differently, hit that like button. And subscribe because I've got more coming. Videos that go deep into how to actually build wealth without guesswork or gimmicks. Drop a comment if you saw yourself in any of these red flags. Or if you want a full video on how to fix each one, step by step. And remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to stop ignoring the signs